What's going on, everybody? This is James back with you for another NFL season prediction video. So, the last one that we did together, we did the Buffalo Bills, and I went over their season. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC this year, if not the best team in the AFC or even in the league. So, for the next part, we're doing all of the AFC East stuff for tonight. And then tomorrow, we're going to pick another division that I'm going to do within the AFC. I'm going to do all the AFC teams first, and then I'm going to do the NFC teams once I'm done with all the AFC teams. So right now I'm doing the AFC East. So we did the Buffalo Bills already. So now I'm going to move on to the next one as with the New England Patriots this year. So there's a lot of questions about New England this year. Is Mac Jones really going to be able to break out? With Bill Belichick, is he going to be able to coach with the team that he's got? It's kind of a under the radar kind of a squad that he has, which he has had for the last few years. Is he going to be able to get his team back into the playoffs or possibly maybe another Super Bowl run with Mac Jones? So there's a lot of questions about that. And also the defense. Is the defense going to be able to stop teams from scoring? The secondary, is the secondary going to be strong again? Is the run defense still going to be pretty solid, or is it going to weaken? Well, we're just going to have to find out and see. But for right now, let's take a look at the schedule and see what they have in store for the season. All right, so here's the screen. So here's the New England schedule. Week 1, they start off the season being in Miami, the Miami Dolphins. Bill Belichick has had a lot of struggles over the years along with Tom Brady being in playing with the Dolphins, especially being in Miami. And Tom Brady, no, Tom Brady is not in the team anymore, but he's always struggled in the heat. I think this whole New England team always, for whatever reason, they always struggle playing in Miami. There's always something crazy that happens, whether it's like the Miami Miracle or they just get outcoached by another coach. The last time these two teams met were in Week 18 in Miami, and Tua actually had a pretty solid game. Surprisingly, Tua has had some really good games with playing against the Patriots, and the team itself, the offense and the defense, have always been there to play against the Patriots. So I do think eventually Mac Jones is going to get a win against Miami, but I don't think it's going to happen in Week 1. I think being in Miami and knowing that it's early September, Miami, Florida is super hot around that time. I just don't, and Miami's one of the kryptonites for the Patriots in recent memory. I can't even begin to tell you the last time that the Patriots have actually swept the Dolphins. It's been quite a long time. So I do think Miami is going to get the Week 1 advantage to beat the Patriots in Week 1 in their home stadium. So I'm going to give that edge to the Dolphins. Then in Week 2, they play the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Again, one of the most historic rivalries over the years with Tom Brady and when Ben Roethlisberger has played there. I don't know about the Steelers. We're going to see how they do this year with whether it's going to be Mitchell Trubisky. I'm going to assume that Mitchell Trubisky is going to start for the Steelers in Week 2. But I think the Patriots are going to win in Heinz Field. That might sound a little crazy because I know that's, in recent times, the Patriots have always put up great games against the Steelers. The last time they were in Heinz Field was in the 2018 season, I think it was. And it was like, it was a tight game. Then it was a low scoring game, played on both sides of the ball. But the Patriots and the Steelers always play good games regardless. But now it's not Tom Brady and Big Ben anymore. Now it's Mac Jones versus either Mitchell Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. But I do think the Patriots on paper, I think Bill Belichick is going to be able to pull off one of these weird wins. I think he has more of the advantage to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they have the better quarterback. I think they have the better. I don't know. I don't want to say they have the better defense, but I think they just have the better. I think they have a slightly better coach, and I think they have a better quarterback play. And I think they're a little bit better on offense. Najee Harris is solid. He's a very good running back for the Steelers, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it all himself. I think they're really going to have to get the passing game going. And is Trubisky with that year off? Is he going to be able to pull off being able to score touchdowns all over the secondary for the Patriots? Now, granted, the Patriots secondary is not as strong as it was a year ago, but I still think the defense is still going to give the Steelers offense trouble. I really do think so. But so I'm going to take the Patriots to win in week 2. Then this is a tricky one. Week 3 is the Ravens. Now, the Ravens are just like the Steelers. They have a lot of question marks. There's not a whole lot that's really telling us on offense. Is Lamar going to be able to do a lot of on his own? Is he going to be able to find his is he going to be able to get the receivers open as he can and pass it to them, or are they going to heavily rely on Lamar to run and score himself? I don't know. It's tough, but what makes it better is that it's in Gillette Stadium. So this is kind of a tricky game. I can see this game going both ways. I think I could see the Ravens going in, but the Ravens are a lot of questions. I think the defense has been stronger. I think the defense has been built up, and especially with that draft pick with Kyle Hamilton, I think he's one of the best safeties, I think, in that draft class. I think they did an outstanding job with picking him as their safety because their secondary was banged up last year. So there is more depth on that secondary. That D-line has gotten significantly better. But the offensive side of the ball, it's going to basically be Lamar, and it's probably going to be Mark Andrews going to have to play a little bit of both receiver and tight end. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I think the Patriots right now, because I like John Harbaugh. I think he's a good coach, but I'm going to go with the Patriots to beat the Ravens. There's a lot of questions about the Ravens right now that I just don't know about. I don't know if this is a good Ravens team or if this is a bad Ravens team right now. They're kind of a questionable team to me right now. So I think the Patriots, I think they're a little bit figured out right now because of the coach and because with what Belichick drafts every year, may not always be the best draft, but he always finds ways to win these kind of weird games where they're not expected to win. But I think they're going to find a way to win to beat the Ravens in week 3. So right now I'm going to give the edge to the Patriots. I think this is going to be a pretty close game. And I think surprisingly, I think this is going to be a low scoring game too. So I'm going to take the Patriots in that one. Then week 4, they're going to play Green Bay. Like I said in my last one with the Buffalo Bills, I think Green Bay, you can't go against Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau Field. That's just his home. You just can't go against him. So I think Green Bay should be able to win this game. And the Green Bay defense has significantly improved. I think they're going to give Mac Jones and company some problems. So, and I think Aaron Rodgers should have really, without even with Devontae Adams being there, I still think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a pretty solid game against this Patriots secondary. But does that mean that the Patriots don't have any chance to win? I think they do. I think they have a good chance to win because of the coaching standpoint. But this is Lambeau Field. It's anytime you go into Lambeau Field, it's a tough place to play, especially if you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. And then week 5, you have the Detroit Lions playing in New England. I think the Patriots are just a significantly better team. I like the story that the Lions have been doing. I think the Lions are going to be an improved team this year. I think they did a pretty good job in the draft with addressing some needs, but that secondary and that defense is still not very good. And I think Mac Jones and company is going to be able to take advantage of that. So I'm going to take New England Patriots to win in week 5. Week 6 is going to be in Cleveland. Now, this is going to be an interesting game because who knows if Deshaun Watson is going to be playing in week 6 at this point. Who knows? We don't really know for sure, but what we do know about Cleveland is their run game is excellent. They have a great run game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They did build around some receivers. So you do have some more depth in the receiver end now. But depending on whether Baker is still going to be somewhat of there or if it's going to be Jacoby Brissett, it's going to be very tough for Cleveland to be able to beat New England. And Cleveland is a tough place to play. That's a really tough area. But I think right now, because of the questions with Deshaun Watson, is he gonna if he's gonna really even be there and be able to play? It's tough to really say. If it's Jacoby Brissett, I do believe the Patriots are going to beat the Browns. But if it's Baker Mayfield, I think Baker can put up a good game, but he has not played the Patriots well in the two times that he's played against them. There's no question about that. He's not played very well against them. But with the depth now that they've improved in the receiver end of things, it makes things a little bit different. But with Jacoby, if Jacoby is starting in this game, yeah, the Patriots should just win. I'm gonna leave it at that right now with the Patriots winning. And then week 7, they play the Chicago Bears. I think the Patriots on a Monday Night Football game, I think they should beat Chicago. I'm not really sold on Chicago this year. The offensive line is atrocious. The defense has gotten worse. They don't really have a lot of depth in the receiver end, and it's pretty much the Justin Fields show. He's pretty much He's pretty much the running back. He's the quarterback. He's pretty much doing it all himself right now. Unless the Chicago Bears could pull out an upset, but I don't see that happening. I think the Patriots should be able to win that game. Then this is an interesting game. I think now we got going to week 8 and we got the New England Patriots at the New York Jets. The Jets, like the Detroit Lions, are a improved team. They had a really solid draft, but it's always tough to go. If you're the Jets, it's always tough against the Patriots. Bill Belichick always does a good job with coaching up his team to beat the Jets. So this is it's kind of tough to really decide. But I do think I can see the Jets splitting with the Patriots, believe it or not. I can see them splitting the Patriots, but is it going to be in New York? It's tough. Are they going to be able to beat them in New York, or are they going to be able to beat them at home? It's tough. It really is tough to decide. Right now, I'm going to go with the Patriots to beat the Jets in New York. I think that's a pretty good, because it's just the coaching experience. It's just the coaching. I think Robert Saleh is a great coach for the Jets. Don't get me wrong. I think he's really trying to turn that team around the best as possible. But I do think Belichick is just better, and I do think that he's going to do more to coach this team up. So I'm taking the Patriots in week 8. Week 9, the Indianapolis Colts go to the New England Patriots. This game could also go either way. Jonathan Taylor had a massive game last year against the New England Patriots with that last touchdown run. And Carson Wentz, even though he's not there, he did not play really much. He didn't really do much in that game. It was all Jonathan Taylor. And I think it's going to be the same thing again. This Colts team kind of reminds me of the 2019-2020 Titans, where they give the ball to the running back, and that's what they're going to do in the whole playoffs. I don't know if the Colts are going to make the playoffs or not this year, but I think the Colts are going to pull off with what the Titans did then and what the Colts did a year ago on the Patriots. So I think it's a good game to decide, and I think it's a really tough game. I really do. You got two great coaches. You got two good, solid quarterbacks, but the Colts have a better roster on offense. I think Jonathan Taylor is one of the best running backs in the league. There's no question about that. You got Michael Pittman. T.Y. Hilton is still pretty solid. Jack Doyle. I'm going to take the Colts in week 9. It's tough to really decide, but I think the Colts are going to do what they can to beat the Patriots at home, because I think Jonathan Taylor is just going to have another massive game against the Patriots. He did a really good job against them last year. And I think this Patriots run defense, while I do think it's improved, Jonathan Taylor is he's another Derrick Henry. He's just solid. He's big. He's fast, athletic. I think the Colts have the best chance of beating the Patriots. I think they're just the better team at this point in time. Then week 10, they got the bye, and then coming off the bye, they play the Jets yet again. This is the last time they're playing the Jets. And it's in Gillette Stadium. I'm going to go with them. I think as of right now, and it could change later on in the season. I do think as of right now, I think the Patriots will sweep the Jets just because of the coaching. I really do. So not much to really talk about there. But then you've got the Patriots playing in Minnesota. This is on Thanksgiving night. So it's kind of interesting. This is I'm going to consider this as like a trap game because I really think the Vikings are a low-key, really, really good team this year, a really solid team on both. I think really sneaky on both sides of the ball. They didn't really lose a whole lot, and they have improved in the defense side of the ball. But that offense is just, I think for the Patriots' sake, I think it's tough. I think it's going to be tough to stop Justin Jefferson. I think it's going to be tough to stop Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen. And it's in Minnesota. So it's interesting. And Minnesota is not an easy place to play, too. And especially if it's going to be on Thanksgiving night, it's going to be one of the best games of the weekend, in my opinion. This is a tough one. I might go back to that one later because that one's kind of a tough one to decide. And then we talked about it in the Buffalo Bills game, the Buffalo Bills video, excuse me. This is also a Thursday night game, and I chose the Patriots to split with the Bills. So I think they're going to win at home in Week 13 on Thursday Night Football, and then I think the Bills are going to beat them in the last week of the regular season, and that's going to determine whether or not the Patriots are going to be able to make it a playoff run here. So I do think they're going to split the Bills this year. Then Week 14, they go to Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals. This Arizona Cardinals are a very questionable team this year. I'm not sure what's going on with the whole Kyler Murray situation. I don't know what's going on with DeAndre Hopkins either. I know he's getting suspended, but I don't know for how long. I don't know if it's going to be the whole year or what's going on with this Cardinals team. So I think right now I'm going to take this New England Patriots team to probably beat the Cardinals. And this is kind of around the time where the Cardinals do start to fall apart a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not really impressed with the Cardinals. I don't think they're that great of a team as some people want to make it sound like. And I think the Patriots just have a better coach, and they just I think the Patriots should win that game, and it's a Monday night game. So, yeah, I think the Patriots should beat the Cardinals. Then Week 15, this is going to be a really, really good game, and I'm kind of glad this is a Sunday night game. The New England Patriots at the Las Vegas Raiders. So, Bill Belichick versus Josh McDaniels, the old offensive coordinator for New England. Oh, this is going to be really, really, really. This is going to be one of the best games, I think, for that week in Week 15. And I'm actually really excited, and I'm actually glad that this is actually in Las Vegas. So, I don't know. This is a tough game to really decide. I think the Patriots are going to win either one of these two games here, the Vikings or the Raiders. I think the Raiders right now, because I like what the Raiders have done in the offseason. I like that they have the Devontae Adams. I like how they they're strengthening the offensive line, which is something that they've needed to really do for a while. That defensive line has gotten better, and it's pretty solid. I think they have a pretty solid defense that's going to really, and with Max Crosby, and I think that's going to really give Mac Jones some problems if he runs into Max Crosby. So I think they're going to lose to the Raiders here, and I think they might be able to beat the Vikings here. I want to say they might be able to beat the Vikings, and I think because it's a primetime game for this one, Kirk Cousins usually does not play his best on a primetime. So that's why I'm kind of going with the Patriots. I think they're more likely to beat the Vikings than they do with the Raiders. I think this Raiders team is they're getting better. And, I just think now that they're moving in the right direction, I like that Josh McDaniels is the quarterback. I think Derek Carr should have a good game. He'll get, he has Devontae Adams. He has Darren Waller. It'll be a good game. I think that'll be a good game, but I think the Raiders I think they're going to find a way to beat Bill Belichick. I really do. And then week 16, you got the Bengals at New England. I think the Bengals are just still a very solid team. I think the Bengals should beat the Patriots at home. I like what the Bengals have been doing in recent times. I just think right now, I think they're just looking to be a really, really good team. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC. Um, they may not have the coaching aspect of things, but Joe Burrow is just absolutely unbelievable right now with the way he's throwing the ball. He's got Jamar Chase, who's just an absolute monster that is going to give New England trouble in stopping. I think Joe Mixon's going to have a really good game in this game. Yeah, I think the Bengals on paper and even in reality, I do think they are better than the Patriots. So I think the Bengals are going to find a way to win this game. Then week 17, you got the Miami Dolphins at home against the New England. Well, they're at New England. I think New England should beat them at home because it's around this time, week 17. New England's going to get really, really cold. So we're talking like late December, early January. So it's January 1st. So it's a New Year's Day. It's going to be tough for the Dolphins to beat New England in the wintertime. So yeah, and then of course week 18 we got the Bills. We already talked about that. So we're looking right now. We're looking at an 11-6 record, which may sound a little too unrealistic, but realistically, it's not really because they have some really tough teams that they really do have to go against, like Green Bay. They have to go against the Colts. They have to go against the Vikings, the Raiders, the Bengals. So they do have a pretty solid schedule. I think this is a pretty nice schedule for the Patriots. I think it's going to test Bill Belichick a lot in terms of how he's going to be able to beat some of these good teams with winning records. But 11-6, I think that's a pretty reasonable record. But I think the worst that they're going to probably be is around 9-8, possibly. I mean, with whatever roster that Bill Belichick does provide to this league, I think he's still going to have a winning record. I still think they're going to be a solid team, but is it going to be enough for them to get into the playoffs? We got to really think about that because this AFC side of the National Football League is just loaded right now with great players, great teams. So we'll see. Once this season gets a little closer, we'll find out more about what these teams are about. So that's my record prediction for the New England Patriots. Let me know what you guys think. I hope you all enjoyed this video. And for the next video, we will go over the next team, which will be the Miami Dolphins.